Hello, everybody. I'm Kayla.
Hello, I'm Elias, over from Elias. This is my second time on here.
You know what? That's so funny that you mentioned that because I was just looking at my list of co-hosts like ever, and this is your third time, and you are my most recurring co-host.
Wow, I love to see it.
Hold on, I wrote it down. Maybe I didn't write what you were here for, but I know this is your third time because Chanel is going to be here for her third time, and I was like, it's a battle.
Oh, recurring main character.
Oh yeah. Okay. Hi everybody. Oh, now I messed up my whole setup here. I like to put my notes beside me just so I know what's going on.
You're prepared. I have no notes. Everything is in here.
Okay. I just want to preface this with everybody that I'm feeling really like under the weather and I'm experiencing some like brain fog. It's really weird. So I'm going to try my best to stay on topic, keep it to the half hour, be coherent. I'm doing my best.
You got this.
We read Every Value Break by Peter Swanson, and I am going to have Elias kind of intro it. And also, I normally start off these live shows asking for my co-host to share like their favorite thrillers so I can convince people to go to your channel. But now, since this is your third time, I feel like we've been there.
Yeah.
So why don't you like tell me about a video that you posted recently that like you want people to check out or that you're proud of while you pitch the book. I'll give you 1 second. I'll give you a second to think about it because I'm going to ask the comments for something too.
Okay.
I want you guys to give me a skull emoji if you read the book and give me a knife emoji if you didn't, because I want to have a good idea of who's read it, who hasn't. I want to keep this first like 10 minutes really spoiler free so we can convince people either way. And then we're going to get into ratings and then we'll spoil the whole thing. I feel like a lot of times in these book club videos, we don't actually talk about the plot. We talk about like the feelings and how we felt about the book, but I want to get into the plot.
We are going to talk about the plot today for sure because
I have a lot of feelings.
Oh my God. Okay.
Okay.
Wow, there's a lot of people who have read the book. Thank God. Okay, so we can talk about it. So should I talk about the plot now, or what the book is about?
Shoot.
All right. So, Every Value Break by Peter Swanson is essentially about a young woman who meets like an up and coming sugar daddy in New York, and so they get engaged. And on their on her bachelorette party, she hooks up with a random stranger, just for feels, just for the kicks, empty head, no thoughts, just vibing. And so she goes off like the next couple of days and marries off her fiance, and they go off on their honeymoon. However, there on their honeymoon, she runs into that stranger that she hooked up. And from there, everything goes downhill, literally and figuratively.
Hell yeah.
That's the synopsis.
My favorite thing about having you as my co-host is you always pitch the book and then I want to read it. And I'm like, I already did. But it's so well done. Okay, is there any video that you've posted recently that you would recommend people start with?
I just recently posted my first official book haul of the year. There's some interesting picks in there because there are some books I want to do a reading vlog, but I'm not too sure. So if you guys check it out, you guys can let me know down in the comments below which of the books you want a reading vlog from most, because there's some really not controversial books, but like really interesting picks that I didn't think are pretty interesting. So
all right, sweet. Your link is down below so everybody can go. I'm sure everyone already knows who you are, but just in case, there's a little pitch. Ooh, actually, one more thing in the emojis. I want you to give me an emoji. Ooh, I just want a little heart if this is your first time ever for a live show, because I like to know when there's new people here. And I feel like I haven't done a live show at this time of day or week in a really long time. This might have brought in some new people. So I would love to see that. Okay, here's what I want to know. Here's the thing about this book. The whole synopsis happens in the first half of this book. I even like bookmarked a page. I was like, this is the synopsis. Wow. And I want to know what people predicted was coming, because the halfway point is when things take a turn. So in the first half, we have you know, their relationship, we have the bachelorette party, we have the wedding, and then the honeymoon is just beginning. And Scott, the guy that she hooked up with, has just come to the island, and she sees him, and that's where we're at. So I want to know, I'm going to pop up some comments. I want to know what you thought was going to happen from there. I don't want spoilers because we're still trying to like feel this out, recommend it to people or disrecommend it to people. So I want to know like what you thought was going to happen from here, because I think for me, that really did impact my rating, what I thought was going to happen and then what actually did happen. So do you have any thoughts on like what you thought was going down?
But is it near the or
Yeah, all you.
Okay. I can't say specifically because honestly, I was sort of right, like fresh off the bat. So I can't exactly say my prediction because it's spoilers. So I was right in a way, but I didn't really think it would go there in the first place, just because I thought it was too predictable, and I was like second guessing and over analyzing myself in general. So I made the twist in my head grander and bigger than it actually was, like way deeper. And then I read the twist, and then I was like, all right, you went there.
Okay. They thought Scott was going to be a stalker.
Okay.
I thought the hookup, they were going to kill the husband. This person thought it was a setup by the husband. This person thought it was a cult. There's a lot of, I thought Scotty was stalking her. Chanel had no idea what was going to happen. So for me, I thought I had so many predictions. Like I thought for sure, like it was the husband, because it's always the husband. So that was my main prediction. And then I just started thinking like, maybe because I think it's the husband, it has to be someone else. So I was like, it's definitely the main character who's unreliable. No, it's definitely the best friend who set her up. I went through every single different scenario. So
okay, that's interesting.
But I did have one main thought that I thought was going on. So we are 7 minutes in. I'm going to start spoilers because I have to. So if you want to read this book at this point, see you later. This video will exist here for a long time, so you can come back once you've read it. Hopefully we have helped you or hindered you. I don't know. And now I want your ratings. I want everyone's ratings. I actually think that this is the most perhaps broad rating scale I've seen as far as like the Goodreads group. I've seen 1 stars, I've seen 5 stars. So I want everybody's ratings, and now I want yours, Elias. This could have been like your favorite book or your least favorite book you've ever read. I truly have no idea, and I love that for me.
Okay, well, I guess cat's out of the bag, but I'm officially giving this book 2 stars. I initially was going to give it a 1 star or 1.5, like in the very beginning and sort of like the middle. And then like the last 30 pages was sort of like, I feel for me, it was so like fucking ridiculous, but it had the element of some of like elements of horror movies that I liked and I could see in a horror movie. So I bumped it up a little bit. So
interesting.
My first Peter Swanson book that I've given less than 3 stars, I think. So
that's
this is my lowest Peter Swanson.
True for me too, because I gave it 2 stars as well.
Oh my God, we're the same. We're on the same page.
Oh my God. I actually originally gave this 3 stars, and in my wrap up, I gave it 3 stars, and then for the last 24 hours, I have been skimming it to remind myself to take notes of like what I wanted to talk about, and I hate this book. Like I kept. Usually in my live shows, I like to organize it by like, what was your favorite thing? What was your least favorite thing? Who's your favorite character? Who's your least favorite? Every time I wrote down a question, I was like, I don't have an answer. I didn't like anything about the book.
Yeah.
All that came to mind was all the ranting that I wanted to do in this video. So
I think it was like probably his worst book for me, up to date in general with everything, like just the story, the characters, the writing even too. So.
Okay, tell me how you'd rank it, because maybe somebody read this as their first Peter Swanson, and we need to help them because there's some good Peter Swanson, I promise.
Yeah, I feel like if you read this, I feel like for me personally, the way I'm rating it is because I sort of had higher expectations going in because it's Peter Swanson and I've read most of his books except one. So going into this, I was expecting a little bit more. So that's why my rating for it is a little bit, I don't know, harsher. If I had read this book for my first time, I would have been like, it's okay, maybe a 3, you know, it's all right. But reading his other books right here, oh wow, there's so many people. This would be the last. Every value break would be last. So, the top one, of course, would be Kind Worth Killing. Number one spot, no questions, because this one was so good. I'm curious to see how it would hold up if I had reread it or read it in this day and age. You know, if I had like put this book so high on a pedestal as it is. But.
I completely agree. I'm rereading it for a video in the next couple months. And I'm worried, but I'm excited about it. I too have that at my top, but it's very closely followed by 8 Perfect Murders.
Oh, okay, interesting. I feel like this is like the most stylish and most sophisticated out of all of his books. I don't know, to me, it was just more like sleek. It just had that element that none of his books have, actually. So after this one would probably be Her Every Fear. I love the twist in this one. It was great. I think you didn't really like it as much.
Completely forgotten. I could not tell you the plot of this book. Don't remember.
I think this is the book where I read one of the tropes for the first time in a twist. So that was very like interesting to me. So probably more biased in that aspect. And then I honestly can't remember the ratings for these because I do remember they were okay. They were average. And then I don't have his other book with me, Before She Knew Him, but I did read that as well. So both of these read books, they were okay. I didn't really like this as much as I thought I would.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with that book. Like I read it, I think before a lot of people. I think I got an e-arc of it. I don't completely remember, but I feel like when I read it, I was like, oh my God, this is it. Everyone's gonna love this. And then like as more people started reviewing it, it was like a pretty common 2-star. And I was like, oh, what happened with my reading experience? Who the heck knows? Yeah. So we're recommending this one.
Yes.
If you all need a place to go.
If you're gonna give Swanson another chance, stick with this one.
Oh, so. But if you loved this one, perhaps.
Yeah, I can see that.
Highly too.
Yes. So.
Because maybe if they love this one, they wouldn't actually love the Kind Worth Killing. I don't know.
Hopefully you do though.
Hopefully. Okay. I love seeing everybody's thoughts. If you wanna, I don't want this to be like a bashing kind of one because obviously like we didn't like it, but so many people did. So I don't want you to leave this video with like a poor taste in your mouth. So if you want to share your favorite things in the comments, I'd be happy to pop those up. Elias, if you have anything that you enjoyed about the book that you'd like to share, I'd love to hear that.
I honestly feel like this would have been so much better probably in movie form than in book form.
Ooh.
I think. Especially towards the end when it sort of became like a survival thriller. But I think that overall, it was really predictable to me. But I feel like maybe if it's like your first time dipping your toe in the thriller genre, this might be a good entry point, I think. It's not too heavy-handed or chaotic in a way. There's some twists in here, but I feel like if you aren't like a thriller veteran, you probably wouldn't see it coming. I don't know, but it's on an island. It's very like summery, you know, breezy. It's a very easy read, I think. So this could be a great beginning thriller. So
yeah, I think it's like easy to follow. I really did love the atmosphere. One of my notes was like the first half of this. I know some people disagree with this and they actually liked the second half and not the first half because the first half I saw in the Goodreads group that everyone was saying it just read like a contemporary romance kind of.
It did.
But I loved the first half. I thought it was so fun.
So interesting. I was most bored with it.
Oh man.
I was like, where's this going? I was like, what's happening? That's why I was gonna give it like 1 star. I was like, nothing. It has to be a really great twist, you know, setting all this up. But then it was ultimately let down for me. So
yeah. I thought the atmosphere was just like really fun, but then once it got into like the island itself and the descriptions of like the boys club and the constant like references to like these old white rich men, I was like, okay, so they're bad people, obviously. And it was just like, obviously they're going to be bad people. Like, I don't understand how it could go any other direction. And I can't say that like I wish it went somewhere else, because like it went an appropriate place. I don't know. In this climate, in this social climate, I feel like you couldn't have written this boys club to be the winners in the end. You couldn't have written it as like they succeeded with their plan. You had to have Abigail escape at the end.
Well, okay, he could have, and it could have been like really controversial. I mean, that would have been probably unexpected, probably the twist of above all, you know. That would have been, I feel like to publish that would have been just, that would have been really interesting.
I think would have gotten destroyed.
I think that would have been just like, whoa, what the fuck? He really went there, but why? You know? Wow. Like someone said that he tried to make, in like when I was reading the Goodreads reviews, there was like one person said that it wasn't more of a feminist view, it was more like misogynistic in a way. And I 100% agree. So
yeah, I think I just really...
He tried, but...
I'm trying to remember, was The Kind Worth Killing, it was written from both perspectives, because I was just about to say,
yes.
I think he needs to stop writing from a woman's perspective, because he doesn't do it well.
No.
But he did it well in here. I just like, I think my biggest issue with this book was she did not react to anything in a way that I perceive women to behave.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like
yeah.
A couple examples. Oh my god, I'm trying to think. You go.
To me, she was just really flat. She like in the beginning, when like in the first half, she explained like sort of her backstory, and I thought some of those elements would come into play later. I think that this is more of Swanson's fault versus like the character, because none of those elements, her backstory regarding like something with different characters in her past, didn't really come up with in like the future or the present, the twist or anything. I thought that her slashing the tires of her best friend or her like arch nemesis in high school would have like led to like a twist, like maybe like her brother was related to this girl that she slashed her car tires in the car, like I don't know, got to an accident or something. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, he tried, I guess.
He tried. I think okay, I'm trying to think of a couple, because like there were moments that I was like angry about the way that she reacted to things. So like there was
also the guy was like, I know we just met, but you know, I'll pay for all your dues, and she's just over here like, all right. Like, and then they get married and everything, and yeah, the whole club and everything, it was just, I don't know, it could have gone in I think been in a more elevated like aspect, but it didn't really go there. It just stayed honestly very like linear and flat for me. So
yeah, I feel like I don't know, like there was a moment where she was like getting on the helicopter, and all the men were like trying to decide who was going on the helicopter, and she was like, I'm gonna go on the helicopter by myself with the pilot. And I was like, a woman would never put herself in that position.
Yeah.
Just like when I want to be really, I don't know how to phrase this properly, because I don't think that the book should have gone this direction. But the fact that these men, a group of men in power, had multiple women drugged and possibly bound and like held in an area and
killed,
did not R-word them, sexually assault them. Not so much that, but that it didn't even occur to her that was going to happen is not a real woman's experience. If a man has captured you and is threatening you and is you're surrounded by a group of men, your first thought is, I'm about to be assaulted. How do I get out of this situation? But instead, she's with this other woman when they both get captured, and she's like, tell me your story. We have to get out of here so we can tell our story. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'd be like, I'm about to be assaulted by this group of men. I need to get out. Like, why was that not something that she thought of at any point? There was not a single moment in the book where she thought that she was in danger of being assaulted. Like, what? That's not real.
Yeah, let's go off. But I feel like in the very beginning, it just occurred to me that it was so unrealistic how nobody knew where she was going, not even her parents. Like, the guy would at least have the decency to tell the parents where he's taking her daughter, but she didn't even know like where they were going, which is like, I guess, fine, but nobody knew in her life, like, at all, like, you know, for safety reasons. And then when she got there, she completely ignored all the red flags. So,
oh yeah, it was like, as she found out all of the weird things about the island, like, yeah, she was concerned and like wanted to leave, but like not at the level that she should have been.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Especially, I liked how he made her all of a sudden like a wilderness like fighter expert at the end. Like, there was no backstory on her how to handle like a rifle or bow and arrow, and then little like snippet, she took bow and arrow classes like at a summer camp or something. And I was like, oh, that is so lazy. Getting off the island.
I think this is one of my biggest things is like, I don't understand why any of the decisions were made before. Okay, we need to explain a little bit more, because if some people are here who haven't read it and just want to like hear about it.
Confused.
So basically this group of like rich men are like a cult, and they're trying to punish women, right? That's how you describe it. Like, they wanna like take them to
like
this island.
Cheating women.
They want to
who have done them wrong.
Yes, they want to prove that women are terrible, and they want to like, it's a revenge thing. But they don't plan on actually killing them, apparently, which like makes no sense either. Because like, what were you planning on?
What were they gonna let them go? You know, like, what were they gonna do?
They're gonna be quiet?
Silence them into oblivion? There's so many plot holes. Too many plot holes.
I just think like, I know a lot of the Goodreads, like there was what I was looking at is there was two different conversations. People who hated it and said that it was unrealistic, and then people who loved it and were like, I don't really care. I don't want to look into all of it. I don't want to think about the plot holes, and I don't want to overanalyze it. And that's a fair perspective, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was like, so they brought her to this island knowing that she cheated, hiring this man to make her cheat, but then still went through with the wedding, still went to the island, still were lovey-dovey, let her have her cell phone, had a good time together, and then decided to humiliate her and get their revenge. Like, why would you even go through with all of that? And then my next question is, if she hadn't cheated, what was the game plan? Because he obviously didn't actually like her. So then what would have happened? Would he have just ignored his cult friends?
What would have happened is that we wouldn't get this book. It wouldn't have existed. The book would have ended there. The end. Happily ever after. Yeah, you brought up some really good points. There was a point I wanted to talk about, but it just slipped my mind.
Was it with the survival stuff at the end? Just bow and arrow, kayak.
A rifle.
I'm really glad. I'm actually really glad that people like it. Like, I want you to like the books that I pick. I want to like the books that I pick for my book club. So when I don't, I'm so happy that other people do. That's an interesting point. Who decides, like, who in this cult is like?
Yeah, that was really weird.
So then they killed Jill, who was one of the women they brought there for revenge, but apparently didn't mean to kill her, which also doesn't make sense. I remember reading it the first time and the reveal happened, and I was like, okay. But then looking back on the second time, like, he was banging her head in with a rock and thought she wasn't gonna die.
Delusional. Oh, I remember my I think I was gonna say I thought that like the overall analyzing, like my second twist would have been like, oh, she already knows what's going to happen on the island. Like she is after these men because maybe the girl that she saw the tires, maybe she's one of the victims and that she knows everything like behind the scenes and she's going to the island with them. Maybe she's like a operative or like undercover journalist or something trying to bring these men down. And that Scott, the guy that she hooked up with, they never hooked up. Like he's in it too with her, you know, that they're bringing these people down, but then it just got further away from that aspect. And I've been like, ooh, that would have been really interesting if like she came in already knowing this, all these things that are happening, you know, and like maybe that would have been like given her like a better backstory as to how she is super athletic all of a sudden. Bear Grylls in the wilderness. Like imagine if like the guy reports back to Bruce and being like, yeah, I hooked up, but they never did, right? And then she's just like, haha, Bruce, in the end, I never hooked up. I know what you're doing, you know, you piece of shit. Going to jail.
I just like feel like why did he make it Peter Swanson? Why did he make it so obvious that Bruce had hired what's his face, Scotty? Because like immediately after she gets back from her bachelorette party, he's like, did you cheat on me? So what'd you do? Did you cheat on me? And she's like, no. He's like, are you sure?
That's literally one of my, I fucking hate it when characters lie and then I already know I'm just like, it's gonna bite you back in the ass later. I mean that trope in general. I
have straight up read that scene 5 times. The scene where the husband has set up the wife and then confronts her after and goes, did you do this thing? And she says no. And he goes, you have one chance to tell me the truth. She's like, no. And it's like, make it try a little harder to make us not realize that Bruce set her up.
Maybe this is like one of his like filler ideas that he had. He's just like, oh, I just want to, you know, make a quick buck, you know, before I go off with another good installment. But that hasn't been the case for like the past 5 books.
I almost feel like this was like a story that he wrote like 10 years ago. And then he just was like, he got published and now this is one that made its way back. He's like, oh, I could change this into being like a feminist tale for 2021 and decided to like change everything and make it shit. I will say, actually, I have one good thing to say about this, and that it was only 300 pages and it was a really, really fast read.
There you go.
Kept my attention.
Did you at all see like the twist or, you know, coming like at all in any direction? Like, oh, it was a group of men on an island who were trying to basically punish the women who have wronged them in a way. Because I think like when Scotty showed up on the island, that's what I predicted. I was like, okay, you're going to have a group of men with all these red flags where she essentially is like, oh my God, why is there so many men here? It's just me and this like other women on this island. And apparently Bruce knows everybody here. That would have been like, so like ding, 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 like what the fuck, get off right now. But I don't know. I like, that was the twist that I was like, I predicted. I was like, there's no way he's going to go there. And then I spoke too soon.
Yeah, I felt like it was, I think you said this earlier, but like you felt like it was too obvious that Bruce had like taken her there to like do bad things to her and that it was all a setup. And it was too obvious. So I was like, okay, well, obviously Bruce is terrible. Scotty's on the island. They're in it together. And then I was like, but that's too obvious. But then when the other woman had her ex-boyfriend show up on the island, like 5 pages later, I was like, oh, this is just like a whole thing. Like all of these men bring all of these women here to kill them. And then that happened.
Yeah, and then the helicopter scene when everyone was all revealed, like to her, and they're all laughing. The amount of cringe. I don't think I've ever cringed at a twist before as hard as I did with this one. No, when they're all laughing, I was like, no way. I mean, you really went here. It was so.
I guess that twist did kind of get me a little bit because the 2 pages leading up to that was like Bruce and Scotty were like beefing. And so I was like, oh, okay, so Scotty is actually on her side. But like if you're gonna have a red herring like that, you have to do it for longer. Like you can't just have 3 pages where like drag it out a little.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was like okay, and then when I went through it the second time, I was like, this is terrible. And I'm sad about it.
I mean, it has like it also like an incentive for you guys if you're stuck here so far and you still are deciding whether to read this book. It ends on a happy note. So if you're looking for a happily ever after in a way for a thriller, it all ties up pretty nicely.
She does escape, and I actually liked portions of it because she hid in her own bunk, which I think was actually kind of a smart choice because they wouldn't think to look for her in her own closet. So I thought that was interesting. I do have a problem.
Oh, I was just gonna say, she should have just gone all full. If Swanson was gonna commit to her being Bear Grylls, he should have committed her to going full Rambo, setting booby traps, bear traps everywhere. Bring a whole new character. She was just faking this whole time. Now she's gonna kill everybody. Slasher. Oh my God! Can you imagine the tables have turned? We get the men's POV, and she's a serial killer. Everyone. And she takes on everyone. We get their POVs as she awesome. Oh, that would have been so good.
That's the thing. When she was hiding in the closet, she kept thinking about killing him. I was like, so do it already.
Put on that mask, get out that knife, and start slow walking to each of these victims.
I did like how she I know for a fact that Peter Swanson intentionally added the scenes of her eating and peeing while she was hiding, because it's such a common critique, and it's a critique that I have given thriller books. Is whenever there is a character who's hiding out, sneaking around, it's they go 3 days without eating anything, and it drives me nuts. So part of me appreciates that she had to sneak out of the closet to eat something, but then it happened so many times and there was so much food reference. I was like, we get it. How women must eat. Okay, enough.
Yeah.
She's I gotta go get my slice of cheese.
What did that call it? What is that? The board with the cheese.
A charcuterie board?
Yeah. Bread, cheese, apples.
I mean, when you're scared, you have to pee. And she was I don't want him to smell it, so I have to go to the bathroom really sneakily. So part of me did appreciate that, but then I guess I realized that my request for that over the years actually kind of takes me out of the book. So it's my fault for asking for it.
Ooh, somebody said if the book existed with the gender roles reversed, whereas an island full of women punishing a man, they would have been more intrigued.
I would be too. Oh no, I don't know what that says about me. Don't put me in that position. I also felt weird about the makeshift forest, and I feel I kind of glossed over it when I was reading because I did not understand what was going on.
I feel it was a mini map, something that what was that word? That represented the whole forest on the island overall, maybe? I don't know. It was weird. It was just honestly didn't even need to be there, because I was confused too.
And then a lot of people talked about how why was there a women's side of the island to begin with? And I don't think I even remember what really happened with that. Did it used to be a camp? Or
honestly, a lot of backstory in this didn't even need to be there, because I feel the book it would be too short without all of that unnecessary backstory. We wouldn't have,
maybe if we got this big monologue from Bruce that was oh, I've created a whole other side of the island and I'm bringing women here to be my servants. That could have been weird.
But yeah, it just said that the island used to be a boys and girls summer camp.
It used to be a camp. Okay. There's certain things that I definitely just glossed right over because I was why are you telling me about this?
Yeah, okay. Maybe it would have been stronger as a novella. Oh,
yeah, I just saw that. That's interesting. Yeah, I feel so many authors steer away from novellas, and I feel they need to make kind of a comeback in this genre. I feel we get really good novellas.
Thriller novellas? Yeah.
A horror novella is interesting, but we never see thriller ones. I'm down
even
for a short mystery.
Even an anthology of try to come up with the wildest bizarre twists in short stories, you know? Been interesting.
Okay, I feel like I've aired out all of my grievances. How about you?
I think so too.
Okay.
For 2-star read, not bad.
Do you have any recommendations for other books with a similar, like in a similar vein?
Okay, so books I would recommend, if you like cultish, like, I guess on that aspect, it would probably be Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. I really enjoyed that one. That one was really good. On an Island, similar vibes would probably be The Guest List by Lucy Foley. Yes. And maybe, like, if you're in a situation, like stuck in an environmental situation, maybe One by One by Ruth Ware.
For sure.
Oh, and also there was one, I forgot the title, but there was one where a girl, I think you read this, where a girl finds like a kidnapped child in the backseat at a
No
gas
Exit?
station. Yeah, No Exit. That's also like a survival thriller. I thought that was okay too. Actually, that's a really good like thriller for like newbies.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. I completely agree. It's
No
funny how
Exit.
I always say that I like island stories, but I've realized that I haven't read that many of them in this genre, and I really need some recommendations.
I do not like island stories, less alone domestic thrillers. Yeah. Because they're so limited, and I feel like they always fall into the exact same category of, oh my God, this island isn't what I expect it to be. It's not a perfect paradise. I need to get off. And I'm like, okay. Basically, their whole situation is to get off the island when they get there. So I'm like, isn't really, I don't know. Unless it's a paranormal twist, then I think that would be interesting. But most of the time, island thrillers, they're just there for aesthetic, as atmospheric purposes. So
yeah, I feel like I love atmosphere so much, and it's something that I really do look for.
True.
So if you didn't like this and you want the atmosphere, I would definitely recommend The Guest List. I have Shutter Island here. It's not the same vibe. It's more psychological. It's more detective.
It's way deeper.
Yeah, but
than this one.
If you haven't read it and you've managed to not be spoiled for this story, I like highly recommend it. I don't talk enough about this.
I only watched the movie. I haven't read the book.
Yeah, well, there's no point in reading the book after you've seen the movie.
Yeah.
The movie is superior. I was also thinking about some recommendations, just like if you like the coastal vibe. So like Claire McIntosh writes a lot of like coastal towns. And then I didn't like this book, but I also didn't like this book. So if you liked this and you want something else, I would recommend The Other Mrs. by Mary Kubica, which is also an island domestic kind of thing. It's not a vacation, like they go to just actually buy a house on this little island, but it's a good domestic one. And then I would say The Night Swim by Megan Golden.
Ooh, that's on my TBR too as well.
I bet you like this.
Good things. I'm hoping I will. Because I have yet to read an actual decent thriller, I think this year, that I've yet to give like 4 or 5 stars to. So
this is the thing. I feel like, yeah. Do you feel like you read so many thrillers like years ago and like it's become so much a part of your channel, but now you don't read them so much anymore, or like you don't find
that's
ones?
me. That's me. Like on a burnout, I'm like, oh, this sounds interesting, but then So
I get comments all the time that are like, you don't talk about thrillers enough anymore. And I'm like, yeah, because they all don't actually sound that good.
Yeah, they actually suck. Yeah. Oh, some movies I would probably recommend in line with Every Value Break would probably be, I'm pretty sure, so I've seen some of the comments in the comments, but Ready or Not, it's like a bride who she marries into a family with like games, and she has to play a game of hide and seek, like literally, and they try to kill her. And then Hush, this is like about a deaf woman who gets attacked by an assailant, a serial killer. There's Christy, a college girl on campus who stays alone during college break, only to be attacked by unknown assailants as well. You're Next, also a girl going into a family who are attacked by strangers. And then there's A Perfect Getaway, which is like an island thriller about 2 serial killers and a couple who runs into them. So it takes place in Hawaii, I think. But
what a great list of recs.
Those are all the movie recommendations.
I haven't seen any of those. I really need
Really?
I know.
Wait, do you like horror movies?
I love horror movies. I just don't have time. I don't make time to watch things anymore. And I need to do that because I'm really lacking in reading horror and thrillers right now that are really doing something for me. And I need to
Yeah.
just start watching movies.
I feel like right now, currently, it's all about movies and TV shows, like thriller movies and thriller TV shows, more than books, less so now, I think. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, I agree with the sentiment that we've read super, like, really strong thrillers. But in this day and age right now, I'm like sort of on a burnout. But I haven't found a good one because literally, like in the past year or so, I can list like thrillers on one hand that have been like really good for me.
Yeah,
So.
I agree. I didn't have a single thriller in my 2020 favorite list for the year. It's very depressing.
I don't think I did either. Wait, maybe the death of Vivek OJ, but that was more heartbreaking too.
Oh yeah.
Also, just I'm going off tangent, but Karen Slaughter is coming out with a new thriller, standalone thriller, and I'm like converted. I'm like, okay, this is the time where I'm gonna get back into thrillers because of Karen Slaughter.
If someone's gonna do it, it's her.
June or July, yeah.
Does that one come out this year or next year?
Comes out this summer in like 2 months, so I'm excited. I'm so excited.
I remember seeing that, but I didn't pay attention to when it was coming out. I think I have all of my book club planned through the end of the year, but maybe I'll hold off and read it in 2022.
Okay, I can never.
I know you can. So you read it, tell me if it's good enough to be a book club pick, and then I can pick it.
For sure.
Okay, thank you guys for joining us. I really actually appreciate it. I see so many recommendations for movies and books. So if you're watching this after the fact, you can turn on the live chat and you can see everything that everyone's saying. And I'm going to come back here and write down all of these recommendations because I really need them. I love a good island vibe. This just didn't do it for me.
Me either, for a lot of us.
I'm just going to move on, pick something else, and it's going to be great. Okay. I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye.